Hi everyone, welcome to Simplicity TV. I am Jen Pike, your host, the founder of the Simplicity Project and the Hormone Project. I am joined once again today by my good friend and colleague, Dr. Sachin Patel. If you had the opportunity to watch us last week in our episode, we started to dive a little deeper into not only what Sachin does for a living, but what his passion is, a passion that we mutually share in helping all of you become more educated and inspired to live your best life yet. Now let me ask you something on that, because I can hear some people in the background be the devil's advocate on that.
Sure.
So what if I don't have the ability to get to that place and wrap my head around it first? Are you saying that if I can't get to that healthy mindset and thank my body and be grateful for these symptoms, be grateful for whatever it is I have going on, that I really shouldn't initiate the next step?
Well, if you want to heal deeply, that's going to be required. If you want and it's not just about healing, right? Because healing isn't an endpoint, right? That's when life starts.
Yes.
So if we're trying to help people create an extraordinary life, it's going to start by an extraordinary way of thinking, right? And that's going to be radically different than the way they've been thinking this whole time. And so, here's one really quick example. I can change your physiology by changing what you think about, and and that can change in an instant, right? So we can start talking about a particular subject, and your biochemistry will change, right? And if we're talking about a particular subject about me, let's say, that there's certain emotion attached to it, then my biochemistry changes instantly. So our body works in real time. Just like me driving here, I have to drive in real time, right? And so realizing that we have to realize that every action that we take, every thought that we have, every person that we encounter day to day changes our biochemistry. And the reason that you're coming to see us is because of all of these things have now compiled and compounded into the way the patient is presenting themselves right now. So we can either change our circumstances, or we can change how we think about our circumstances. And by changing how we think about our circumstances, that changes the net physiological effect that circumstance has on us. So
for some of the people who are listening who may not, I totally get what you're saying on that, but who might need a different type of analogy. What you're saying is like, you can be in the most fantastic mood, have had a great day in that. You go into a space where the energy is much heavier, people are pessimistic, that you're going to start to be brought down by that environment. You could be feeling stress, and it could be real stress that's actually happening, which is going to create a surge of cortisol and all these stress hormones circulating your body. But you can also just be sitting in a headspace where you are imagining the stressful situation. Like it's like the not real form of stress. Your body is still going to produce that same type of breaking down stress response, simply based on the thoughts that you're allowing to come into your mind.
Just think about this, and most people can probably imagine this, that somebody sitting here with the thought process that my body's trying to kill me is going to have a different relationship with their body and take different actions versus somebody who thinks that my body is all it knows how to do is heal and repair and regenerate, right? So we're going to navigate down a different thought process, take different actions, eat different foods, engage with different people, right? Go for the walk or not go for the walk if we don't change that thought process. And most people, we kind of screen people for their ability to accept that role, because it is a huge responsibility. It's a responsibility that you've been delegating, or not you, but some people have been delegating to somebody else this whole time, either to a practitioner or a pill bottle, and now they have to take on that responsibility. So it's a heavy burden, but there's no other way to really address this besides first addressing that. Because if I give somebody the right supplements, for example, based on what their deficiencies are, what they do with those supplements is going to be based on what's driving their physiology. Right? So I can give somebody magnesium to deal with stress, or I can give somebody magnesium and that same magnesium will help them sleep better. Right? But if they're in this constantly stressed out state, then that magnesium is not going to help them with their sleep, because their body's going to prioritize it to be used for stress.
So what are some of the initial steps you give somebody to work on changing and shifting this mindset?
Well, we start with gratitude. Gratitude's the first step, and there's overwhelming scientific evidence that shows the benefits of gratitude. There's two types of gratitude. There's proactive gratitude, which is being happy for things that haven't really happened yet, And there's reactive gratitude, which is gratitude for things that have already happened for you. So it's a combination of both of those things that's important. And when we think about the word appreciation, the English word is interesting because the same word can have multiple meanings. But when we think about the word appreciate, so if I say appreciate you, then your value in my mind increases. Just like if my bank account is appreciating or my investments are appreciating, their value increases. So we can instantly increase our self-worth because we're being grateful and appreciative of things that are around us. And being grateful for the simplest things goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it doesn't have to be, if you wake up and you've got a gratitude journal to write in, you can be grateful for that. Or it could be your wife or your husband, or it could be your children. There's so much, if you're watching this right now, that you have to be grateful for.
And you could also be grateful, it's okay to be grateful for the same things every day over and over again. We use the 5-minute journal as well too, and talk about gratitude. And so often people say to me, well, I stopped using it because I didn't know what else to be grateful for. It's like, it doesn't have to be a new gratitude every single day. You can be happy for those same things. And I think sometimes in the beginning, when people might be at that place where they find it hard to discover where they actually find joy and gratitude in life, that just get in the habit of doing it, even if it is those same 3 things every day.
Right.
You'll start to notice other areas of your life that are just as wonderful and just as much to be grateful for.
Yeah, and just a tip is you can get more specific, right? So you can say, I love my husband or my wife, but why?
Why?
Right?
Yeah.
So
that could stretch on for
right, and
a
then
long
that
time.
gives you unlimited options.
Yeah.
So gratitude is a big one, and then simple things like if people can get on the grass barefoot, right? If they can get in the sun, especially first thing in the morning when the sun's coming up, in the evening if they can watch the sunset. If they can get out midday, then that's good, because what this will do is it'll help them reset their circadian rhythm. And the most important tool that we have for healing is actually when we're resting. So the 3 things that people have a really hard time with involve doing nothing for the most part, right? So you tell people to sit in silence, they have a hard time. To sleep, they have a hard time, right? And then even to meditate or to fast, people have a hard time.
Yeah.
So tell them not to eat, not to think, try not to think, or just entertain their thoughts, and try not to watch TV late at night or do work late at night and just go to bed. And people have a hard time with that. So you already know what their problem is. They're in this chronically sympathetic, dominant, anabolic state. Doing, right.
Because everything you're mentioning are all states of being.
Right.
They're not actually performing an act or doing anything.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot happening below the surface, right? So when we think that, just laying on the couch or laying in bed, there's trillions and trillions of processes that are still taking place. Imagine a mechanic trying to work on a car while it's being driven.
Right.
Right? You just can't do it.
That's a great one. I love that one.
So our body's kind of the same way. When we're running around all day, when we're overthinking things, when we're stressed out about things, we're in a catabolic state.
Yes,
So we're breaking things down. And we're releasing hormones that cause things to break down. And cortisol is one of those. Thyroid hormone is also a catabolic hormone, which means we're not releasing anabolic hormones, growth hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and insulin. So we need to be producing adequate amounts of balance in the catabolic and anabolic states in our body. And most people are very catabolic dominant.
So those are all fantastic tips to lead into that. I'm gonna actually, because we have you for a couple of segments, so I'm gonna end this one here on that, because otherwise we could go on for another 40 minutes on this angle. So that was fantastic. You guys are going to join us back next time. We're going to continue this talk, and we're going to get into some of the biggest myths, misconceptions, and errors that I think we've been conditioned to make in society in terms of achieving optimal health and bringing our bodies, and specifically I'm going to go a little deeper in terms of our hormonal health back in balance. So we'll see you back for our next episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here's to creating more simplicity and more ease in all that you do.